Hey guys, it's me, Beanie, back again. Day 20 update. Post-op, full extractions, immediate dentures. Nothing's really changed. My mouth is still the incredible shrinking woman. I've got a lot of wiggle room on the uppers now. I'm still not using adhesive on the uppers. Don't have the lowers in because they just don't fit. We can't. I tried them again today. It's even worse today than it was a few days ago. So we're just waiting for that reline, which is right around the corner. And hopefully we'll get that squared away. And maybe one day you'll see me with bottom teeth. I don't know. Who knows? Anybody's guess. But other than that, it's pretty uneventful. But, that made me think about when I was going to do today's update, when I was watching update videos and denture videos, in the last couple months before my extractions, the juicy content really was, like from the day before E-Day through day 14 was really like the juicy content where you're like just wanting to see what people are going through. And then after that, it kind of tapers off. And that's as a viewer who had not had the procedure done. Now that I've had the procedure done, you're then interested in watching the videos for those people that are going through the reline process, and then, when to get your permanents. Some people are getting them as soon as 4 months. Some people are getting them at 7 months. Some people don't get them until 12 months. So, the scope of videos that are available to you depends on where you are in your journey. What I wanted to kind of talk about today is I really feel like if you can curtail what videos you're watching in the beginning, it's really going to help you overall, and maybe help you allocate your time better. Because I'm sure I'm not the only person who has ended up down the YouTube rabbit hole where you start off watching one video about one thing and it leads into another and leads into another and leads into another. And next thing you know, you are heading 2 or 3 years back into someone's video catalog and you don't even know how you got there. Well, the same problem can happen with the denture videos. And the one thing that I could probably attest to myself is, while the journey interviews I found very interesting because I'm very interested in people and learning about people, like the human aspect I'm very interested in. When it got to the point where they were talking about price point and money is always where I'd have while you were happy for them that they got it done, you're like hearing the price points that they're paying and you're thinking, oh God, like how am I going to swing that? I think it's a disservice to get yourself to the point where you're watching those videos talking about how much the dentures cost and if you have not already gone to a dentist yourself. That's the first thing that needs to happen. Like, yes, you can see that you have missing teeth. You know that you have loose teeth or that your gums bleed. But if you haven't had a consult yet for dentures, I feel like you're putting yourself in a position to become discouraged if you don't know where you stand as far as what you're a candidate for and what you're not a candidate for. And what I mean by that is, if you immerse yourself for several hours watching, half a dozen YouTube videos from someone talking about getting dental implants and their experience with their implants and how it didn't go right or the O-ring fell off or whatever the case may be, and you haven't even seen a dentist to confirm whether or not you are a candidate for implants. Not everyone will be a candidate for implants. Many people who have to get implants do have to get bone grafting, which is a given. But then even still after that, there are some people that are excluded from being candidates for a number of other reasons. Whether or not they just don't have enough gums to help with whatever. I don't really know the ins and outs of it, but, not everyone is a candidate for every type of prosthetic appliance for your mouth. And you wasted 2-3 hours, maybe with some people a couple of days. I have one friend who she binge watches YouTube for days at a time. And so it really comes back to the consultation. 70% of practices will provide consultations free of charge. Why? Because particularly when you're asking for a consultation for dentures, dentures is a very expensive process. And so therefore, by offering you a free consultation with full mouth x-rays, they're potentially securing an individual who's going to bring quite a bit of revenue into their practice. I mean, dental practices as a whole, since there was very few insurances that are involved, they're pretty lucrative. So they're just a cash cow, and they keep getting milked. So you gotta go see dentists. You gotta go see dentists. You have to get your consults done. That's first things first. And maybe the only other thing before that, having your consults, is if you are an insured individual, the first thing you need to do is know the ins and outs of your dental insurance, how it works, what you're covered for, what you're not covered for, what your cap is, when does it start, when does it stop, is there a gap between the renewal? You need to educate yourself as a consumer as to what your insurance is covering and what they don't cover, and what their procedures are. Are you covered for the same cap if you are in network versus out of network? Not all insurances will do that. You may have $3,500 of coverage if you're in network, but if you go out of network, you're only at $2,500 worth of coverage, and it's set on a median scale. How would you know that unless you find out? And you should know these things before you head into the dentist office for your first consult for your dentures, okay? Go on to your medical provider's website. Their portal should have all of your information and what your coverage is. And if it reads like foreign language to you, pick up the phone. Boop, 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 boop. Call that 800 number. That's what those people are there for. That's what they get paid for. That's their job. Yes, they might have a little bit of an attitude when you say, hey, I'd like you to explain to me my benefits. The first thing they're going to say to you is, well, you know we have a website. Yeah, I realize you have a website. But I'm calling you because this is your area of expertise. It is not my area of expertise. And I need you to break down to me what my coverage is like I'm a 2-year-old. So if you wouldn't mind entertaining me, let's talk about what I'm covered for. And the reason I'm stressing this point is, as the consumer, it is your responsibility and your due diligence to know what you're covered for and what you're not covered for. If you get yourself in a situation where you decide to go with a practice and you get a call. I saw one lady with a YouTube video where she went for her consults, decided to go with this dentist. The dentist gave her a price point. And according to her, they didn't tell her, but I don't know about that. Sometimes with consumers, you hear what you want to hear or you don't hear what you want to hear. So I'm not negating whether she heard it or didn't hear it, but what ended up happening is that her insurance did not cover as much as what they originally anticipated, and so that she would have overage, additional fees that she would have to pay. And she was pissed off about it because it was after the fact, after she had her extractions, after she had her immediate dentures, and she was getting ready to go get her relines put in. They said, oh, by the way, we know you have an appointment for your relines and your insurance didn't cover this, so you owe this. And she flipped out and said, why would you do the procedure if you didn't know it was covered? And listen, that you should have contacted your insurance and confirmed. There were some holes in this woman's story where, if you're listening to it and you said, oh, but you know what, you let somebody else do the legwork, and because it was easier to assume. It was easier to assume this was all being covered instead of you getting on the phone and making that, carving out 15 minutes of time. Now you're going to have to make a 20-minute YouTube video crying about why you've been victimized when you didn't do the due diligence as a consumer to know what your entitlements are. So
know what your coverage is. Some dental coverage requires that you do appoint a primary dentist. Some don't. As long as you just go in network, that's fine. But you need to ask your insurance, what do I need to do? Do I need to appoint a primary, or can I just go to anyone as long as they're in network? What do I do if I want to go to somebody that is out of network? What's the procedure? Do you have a particular form that I have to fill out? Or do I just submit the bills? Do I do it online? Like, ask all of these questions beforehand, okay? And don't assume anything. When you assume, you're putting yourself in the position that you're not in the know. Okay, so those are things I'm very passionate about. You don't want to be blindsided, particularly with something as costly as dentures. You know, dentures, I mean, depending on what kind of dentures you're getting, we're talking like a nice certified pre-used car or a down payment on a small home. You know, why leave it up to somebody else to make sure that you're going to be okay in this situation, particularly if you were someone like me who let yourself go for years and years and years and years and years. And when you're finally ready to go ahead and take care of this, you're not going the extra mile to make sure that you're really making this as seamless as you possibly can for yourself. You know, getting these unexpected surprises of things not being covered or procedures, you know, policies that you weren't aware of, it only exacerbates anxiety in a situation that you're already anxious. So that's my little soapbox about that. So if you have insurance, that's the first thing. Call your insurance, get online. If you don't understand things, call the 800 number. If the person you're speaking to can't articulate it where you can understand, ask them if you can speak to somebody else or a supervisor. Don't be a dick about it. Just say, listen, I really need someone to help me understand what I'm covered for and what I'm not covered for. Okay, also understand when you're going out of network, you may not have the same coverage. It's very important you be very specific. If you don't ask specific questions, you're not going to get specific answers. And then don't cry when you get a bill in the mail. Okay, when you go out of network, you are submitting bills for review of reimbursement. It's not guaranteed a full reimbursement once you go out of network. Your bills are being reviewed for reimbursement, and they make the reimbursements based on what they've determined the median rates for the services are in the area that you're in, which goes to the next thing, which is, again, the consults. How important the consults are. And consult is important just so you can stop worrying about this whole procedure. Yes, you can watch 1,000 YouTube videos. That doesn't really hammer home what it's like until you actually are walking through, you know, step by step of, hold on one second, my little dog got in the garbage. Hey guys, back. It was Whoopi in the trash. He's a little creep. He's fine. He's old and he's little. He don't know what he's doing. So, consult. You got to do the consult before you even fall down the YouTube rabbit hole of watching video after video of how much people's cost and, you know, why they picked out this denture and picked out that denture. You're losing a lot of your time. You're allocating time. Your time is valuable, okay? So you're allocating your time to watching videos that may not even be relevant to you. You know, not everybody is going to be a candidate for implants. Not everyone is going to be a candidate for the minis. You know, it depends on, you know, what type of bone density you have, if you're going to require bone grafts, what type of, you know, receding, like what your receding situation is with your gums. So not everyone is really a great candidate for implants. And I know that they push implants, okay? Why? It's a moneymaker. Sure it is. But for, you know, 50 plus years, people have been surviving with the good old standard dentures, okay? So don't think because you can't afford right now to have denture implants that you shouldn't get anything, or, you know, that... I guess what I'm trying to say is if a dentist, if you go for a consult and they really are just hard selling you on implants, I would run. That's not somebody I want to do business with. And I got to tell you, I didn't have that as an experience at Aspen. I know there's a lot of YouTube videos out there where, not necessarily regarding dentures. There's really not a lot of YouTube videos with people who used Aspen for dentures, but just in general where they, where Aspen pushes a lot of stuff. I didn't have that experience at all. I actually had zero of that. And, they didn't push me about getting implants or anything like that. I said, hey, listen, this is where I'm at right now. I'm going to get this kind of denture. Can I get implants down the road if I want to? And they're like, hell yeah, you can. Sure. So when you're thinking about what you're going to be doing, you got to do the consult, okay? Got to do the consult. 1 is okay. 2 is better. I think 3 or 4 is optimal. 3 or 4 is optimal. If you're getting your consults free of charge, then you really should hear what each dentist has to say. You are not just a patient, you are a customer. And I think a lot of people forget that when they're in a medical situation, as if you're not, but you are. You choosing to go to a particular dentist is a choice of yours. We don't live in a communist country. They're not mandating you go to a specific dentist. So if you get the right dentist and the right dental company to do business with, they're going to show you that they're interested in earning your business. And part of that earning the business is the free consultation and x-rays. But again, get at least a minimum of 2. The consults don't even really take that long. They take you in. They give you a full mouth of x-rays, the digital x-rays, and then they talk to you. And then that's it. I mean, it's really, I would say, depending on how busy the office is, it's less than an hour in and out from start to beginning. Particularly if you say, okay, well, I just wanted to see what I'm eligible for. I mean, educate yourself when you go in there. Ask about that. Say, hey, do you see any, noticeable bone loss in my jaw, or what are the conditions of my gums? If they're not even willing to discuss those things with you, I would be kind of suspect. If they're just saying, okay, yeah, definitely you need dentures, but they're not discussing bone loss, or that you haven't had any bone loss, or if they're not discussing how advanced your periodontal disease is and how will you continue to manage your periodontal disease once the teeth are removed. Those are all red flags. But doing the research beforehand, before even getting immersed in YouTube, you're going to save yourself time, and time is money. The peace of mind that you get after you have that first consult, it's really quite extraordinary. Just to kind of know where you stand. Like I said, I mean, you can sit there and say, well, yeah, I knew my teeth were in really piss poor condition, but when you have a dentist, kind of break it down for you, everything they do and why, then you kind of become more focused. And therefore, then if you want to come back and go online and start doing more research, that's great. But you got to do the consult so you know where you stand. Once you know where you stand, then you can start pursuing, okay, what are going to be the best options for me? Will I want intermediates? Okay, like, do I want this all done? Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. Like, that's going to be your next question. Do I want to get it all done at one shot? Because if that's the case, then one of the questions you're going to want to ask when you go to a consult is, you're going to ask the dentist, are you going to be able to do my extractions, or would you be sending me out for those extractions? Because not all dentists want to do, extractions on, broken nubs. So arm yourself with some identifying questions when you go to a consult, and that way it'll help you narrow down who you're going to want to do business with. Now, if you're a person who's in a situation where, you're on the road to dentures, it's not going to be one and done. You are going to have to take your time because you're allocating your funds, and you're just going to first start with the extractions and maybe do 3 or 4 extractions at a time, or 1 extraction at a time. Then the questions that you're going to ask are maybe going to be a little bit different. But if you were someone like me who was in a situation that I had to get it all done at one time because time was of the essence for things that I couldn't control, the dentists that were not comfortable with pulling out my nubs on site, they weren't going to work for me. The dentists that were not able to create the temporaries, and because of COVID happening and the temporaries were going to take 3 weeks by mail, that wasn't going to work for me. You may be, by the time you're watching this video, in a different situation where you can be leisurely about it. And I think the sooner you start researching and allocating your time appropriately to researching, the more leisurely you can be about it. And you don't have to make really rushed decisions. But you'll want to ask yourself a few of those questions after the consultations. Open your eyes and make you, question a few other things. Like when you're on the consultation, you're going to want to ask the dentist, okay, what types of payments do you accept? We all know that, there are, a marginal amount of insurance that they're going to accept. They're going to accept cash. They're going to accept credit card. And a lot of them will accept these, I don't know what they call it, care credit or iCredit. And with that, I'm going to tell you, even when you find somebody that you want to go through, look for your financing. If you're going to finance your teeth, unless you're getting a special through that dentist's office where they're waiving your interest, like if you're getting interest free for 18 months or something like that, I'm going to tell you, go look for your financing elsewhere. You're probably going to get a better interest rate. A lot of these dental practices are like car dealerships. When you go to get a car and the dealership says, hey, let us secure the loan for you, they get a kickback for every loan application that is filed. And I'm not talking like a $50. We're talking like a couple $100 kickback they're getting. So same thing with these practices. When they offer to file the credit application for you through iCredit or Credit Care or Dental Care, whatever it's called, they're going to get a kickback for every application because they have a little code when they go in the little computer and they punch it in. Are you getting a kickback on your total cost for your dentures? No, you're not getting a kickback. So why give them that kickback? Go look for the financing on your own if you need to. But you don't even know what type of financing you need to look for until you start with the consult. Maybe you think all your teeth have to go, but you talk to a dentist and they say, hey, actually, these 4 can stay, so you only need a partial, and that's going to take your bill down $300. You won't know until you get the consult, okay? So we're just going to keep hammering it home. If you're insured, learn about your insurance coverage inside and out, okay, before you even go on a consult. When you're ready to start making moves, you need at least 2, I would say 2 to 4 consultations. And you will see that you, especially if you're a nervous personality, you're going to become more at ease with this whole situation, going that route. Use Google, Yelp, health grades. I like to use health grades as far as hearing about dentists, but I got to tell you guys, be objective when you're heading into like these I know that there's denture groups on Facebook, and there's different denture groups online, like on Reddit, and I mean anywhere where people are putting in their 2 cents and giving reviews. Be discerning when you're reading reviews. All right, there's a way to look at a person's or a customer's review and discern whether it's just because there truly was an issue or there was a perceived issue. I always find when I read these negative reviews, reading the negative reviews, a lot of times it's not about the practice. It's about what the person's expectation was. And so, you know, be moderate with the reviews. You know, use common sense when you're reading people's reviews. It's the same thing when you go on your insurance website. I can go on my insurance website. I put in my zip code. It's going to show me all the dentists within whatever range I put it in for, 25 miles, 50 miles, whatever. And then I can select what procedure I would need to have done. So let's say for dentures. And it's going to show me all the dentists, and it's going to show me what their rate, approximate rate is for dentures. And I'm going to see that every single dentist that participates with my insurance has a different rate for that same exact service. Well, why is that? Well, that's because that's what they negotiated with the insurance carrier when they signed on to be a participating dentist. So you could have, I mean, and on mine, it was a huge difference. There were some dentists that were charging like, I think like in the 300s for a top plate, and 300s for a bottom plate, and 400s and 500. But then there were some that were charging 700, 800. And it was nothing more than a few miles between where their practices were. And you say, well, why is that? Well, the lower scaled price range does not necessarily mean, or it's not indicative that the level of service you're going to receive is lower. But most likely that dentist is in a demographic where they try to make their service more affordable to the general public. And so you may see a wide variety of people or various type of demographics in that waiting room while you're waiting for the dentist. Does it mean that the work is any better or any less? No. You know, so those are things to be in the know of. You know, understand you have health insurance, you have dental insurance. Not every dentist that's in your dental insurance network charges the same price for services. It's your job to get online, find the dentists that kind of are in your price range, and then to do the additional due diligence to look at the dentist reviews. And if you're still interested, go and have a consult. Don't assume that a dentist is in a bad neighborhood and therefore he's a bad dentist. Go there, sit down, meet with them, talk with them. And then you can find out whether or not you're setting yourself up to be in the best position to have the best outcome for your denture journey. So that's all my blah, blah, blah for today. I hope I was somewhat helpful. I know it's a little bit rambly. I have the upcoming videos. We're going to be talking about dental savings plans and why they do work. We're going to talk about what did I pay for my dentures. And how could I have saved even more money during my denture, journey had I not pussyfooted and procrastinated? Please, if you got any questions, concerns, leave a comment below. I intend on answering any and all comments. Consider subscribing. I'm a nice person. I'd like to meet new friends. And if I can be of support to you during your denture journey, I'd love to do that. And I'll see you guys next time. Take care.